Welcome back to another episode of the Hollywood Hang, where we talk about the highs, lows, and hell no's of working with this industry. I am one of your hosts, Tepper.
And I am one of your other hosts, Nick.
And today we are very excited because we have someone on from one of the most talked about shows happening right now. Is that how I say that? It is playing right now. We have Helen Shang, who was most recently a writer on season 2 and 3 of Netflix's upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Previously, she worked on HBO's Welcome to Derry, and there's 2 seasons of Rings of Power for Amazon. Helen was born in Beijing and grew up in Silicon Valley. She was a certified counselor for Crisis Text Line, a text-based mental health hotline, and enjoys hiking, karaoke nights, and being an amateur ethical taxidermist. Welcome,
yes,
Helen.
ethical.
We're so excited. Yes.
I want to circle back to the
ethical
taxidermy. Yeah.
Crucial because that's Helen what I read, and I was like, I don't know why, but like dairy and like taxidermy, I don't know. It all feels like it really makes sense.
Of a piece, yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're very excited to chat.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. It's great to be on.
So normally we do like to start with just kind of like, I would love to hear about like when you, like what it was like growing up when you moved to Silicon Valley, and like how did you find yourself wanting to be in this very wacky industry?
All right. I grew up, I was born in Beijing and moved to the Silicon Valley when I was 6 years old. And so I didn't know any English back then. And so my parents took me to the theater, to the movie theater, not the theater, to like, get as much immersion as I could in the language, but they didn't know what movie ratings were. So the first movie that I like saw here were like Silence of the Lambs and Bram Stoker's Dracula. And so, that didn't mess me up at all. So and then I went to the library and I was like, well, I know about Dracula and serial killers. So I started, reading up books about them. There were these books at the library that were these picture books on Universal monsters. It's like, Meet Frankenstein, Meet the Creature of the Black Lagoon, all that stuff. So I read those and just kind of really got my start in the language and like cinema through horror. And so I've always had that horror streak in me, even though now I'm like writing, not only horror, but that's been my start. And I guess I've always just wanted to write. I don't know if I feel like some creatives they just kind of just always want to do it. Yeah.
Was it like fiction and stuff, or was it always like I want to write shows and movies?
Oh, yes. It was fiction. It was like, I started out writing fan fiction.
Same.
Of course.
Nancy
yeah,
Drew.
there you go.
Oh my God,
Nancy Drew.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, you are in safe company. I love fan fiction.
Fan fiction is like really taking, there's like viral fan fiction that has basically gotten people like publishing deals nowadays. Yeah,
I agree. Oh, okay. So like now fan fiction's cool, but back then
it wasn't.
It was not. You had to bury that. Can we swear on this podcast?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you had to bury that shit. Yeah. So yeah. Did you write any fan fiction, Nick?
No fan fiction, just really bad poetry and stuff like that, and short stories. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Short stories.
I wrote some poetry too.
Oh yeah, my notes app is like still to this day. I'm like, I got a poem in me, guys. It's going in the notes app.
Wait, so what was the hub of fan fiction back then? Because nowadays, is it Wattpad, or is that like more like erotic fan fiction?
It's AO3, Archive of Our Own. Back when I was writing, it was fanfiction.net.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. You couldn't even
AO3...
upload chapters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
AO3 is what Manacled was on, the Harry Potter one that's really popular right now? Okay.
Yeah. That one just got bound. Like, it's like a real book now, which is crazy.
Yeah, I was going to make a video about that because it's obviously not official. And I was like, wait, I thought you couldn't make money off of fan fiction, so how is this like going viral
I don't
in the TikTok shop?
I haven't looked into it, but I also thought it was pretty crazy that a fan fiction was like so legitimized, I think, like at this point. I don't know how, and I can't imagine, Miss Ma'am would be letting anybody.
Do they make it into like an original? Do they take all, because it was
Maybe.
Harry Potter?
Yeah, it was Harry Potter. Yeah, maybe they changed like
the
not
names
like everything,
and stuff.
but yeah, like the names and stuff. Oh, that would be wild.
Because like 50 Shades, I mean, that was what they did, right? Because it was like Twilight.
Yep.
And then they
I didn't know that.
Yeah. 50 Shades was Twilight fan fiction, got made into an original, and I think that started the whole thing.
See, okay, guys, this is what fan fiction is a very legitimate and powerful. It was like you were writing like how people used to write specs for TV.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, basically,
you had to learn how to write in the voice of the people, and then like the comments would be brutal if you didn't. So it's like.
So my Nancy Drew ones were like, well, that's kind of like this book that already existed. I'm like, I know there's so many Nancy Drews. I am 11. I am trying my best to make up an original mystery.
What were the fictions you were fanning?
Well, I think there was definitely Star Wars.
That's a good one.
Fanning. I was writing about Star Wars. Let's see what else. Okay, Labyrinth, my favorite movie of all time. And I think I wrote a few Lord of the Rings one, but back then I didn't know anything about like the Legendarium and like the Silmarillion, and they were like, "What is all this stuff?" Like, it's wrong. So nothing has changed really in my life. It's still the same. I still do the same thing I did when I was like 15.
Oh my God!
Yes.
And so, did you end up going to college for writing?
Yes. Okay. So back then I wanted to write prose. And so I went to college and was like an English major with a minor in creative writing. And that was pretty cool because like one of my professors was Joyce Carol Oates, which was really fascinating. And, learned about writing short stories and all that stuff. But in college, there was a producer who came to speak with us about like what it's like to work in Hollywood. And I was like, oh, this is so cool because it seems relatively more stable, And so then he was like, oh, I'm looking for interns. And so it was for Heyday Films, the production company that made the Potter movies. And so he was looking for interns, and that was the very first thing that I did in this industry was at the summer of my freshman year, coming out to Burbank and interning on the Warner Brothers lot.
That's such a good lot to start on.
Yeah, but iconic.
Do you know the hilarious thing is that like now, a gajillion years later, me and that producer, we're still working together.
Wait, that's amazing.
It's like we found each other again after mumble years. Like
no, but that's okay. That is like something that like I think people like we often talk about is that like you could meet someone like at a general or something and like you won't find the synergy for like 10 years later down like your career line, and then you're like, oh yeah, like we finally found the thing that we can like do together. That's wild.
Yeah.
Is that on one of these shows that producer worked on?
No, it was on a pilot. It was a pilot for Village Roadshow, RIP.
Oh yeah, RIP.
Yeah. So
oh my goodness,
it was so cool because he was looking for somebody to write. It was like a historical drama, a historical mystery drama, and I was like, somebody like a writer friend reached out to me. Hey, do you want to like take a stab at this? And I saw the producer, and I was like, yes, I would. I know him. I sent him an email being like, you probably don't remember me, but it all ended up working well. So
oh my goodness. So how was it, like a summer internship? And then did you just say like, oh, this is for me?
Yes, it was a summer internship. And back then, what was it, like 2009, 8? No, it was before then because I didn't even graduate. It was like 2007 or something. And, we had to roll calls. Remember call sheets? So you go into the office, you sit down, and you roll calls. And I hate telephones. And back then, I was like,
it's so stressful,
so shy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
it takes a special person to roll calls.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's so hard.
100%. It was, I was like, we have Mark for you. And then, what else did we do that was different? I mean, it was like a lot more phones, and got coffee orders, wrote a
Were
lot
you
of
doing
coverage. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like phones nowadays, like interns don't get to touch the phone unless like an assistant is out. Like it, I feel like it's like no, don't even breathe near the phone. You are going to mess this up for me.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, when I did it was like filling in. Yeah, and it was super stressful because you don't really get to like practice it as much. So it's very stressful.
Oh God.
I also had to there was a gift being sent out by one of the producers, and I forged the signature. So that was also another task of mine. Was to forge gift signatures.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of things I got wrapped.
I know.
I was really lucky. The guy that I worked for, he let me go somewhere to get gifts wrapped. I know some people had to actually like wrap the gifts themselves, and I am the worst wrapper. I was like, you're fine if like I bring these here. And he was like, oh yeah, go for it. Would give me like 30 gifts at a time. I don't know what this man was up to. I was like, okay, we'll get these done.
Oh my God. That's a lot.
That was part of my game. But I was personal. So I was just like bopping around town. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In my assistant life. Nick, sorry, you were going to ask something.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say, at that time, did you know you kind of wanted to go to TV, or were you still on the fence?
I don't remember exactly, but I know that when I was interning there was a television show that was that they were producing called Threshold. And yeah, I think it was like Carla Gugino, Peter Dinklage.
Oh,
yeah. And I remember like going to set. That was super, super cool. Forgot what set it was. Might have been Warner Brothers. But yeah. So that was like my first, like very first television, I guess, exposure experience. But I don't really remember when was the exact time I thought that going into television was going to be more stable.
And did you write like pilots and feature? Were you writing both of them, or did you like have samples ready that you were going to like show people around town, or what was like the next step that you were like, I got to do this so that people will pay attention to me?
Yeah. So I started just writing whatever that my heart desired, which I think at the beginning that was so exciting because you don't know what you don't know. And you're just like, I am just going to write whatever the hell I want. And so I wrote a feature. I wrote like the first thing I ever wrote was a house spec for television. It was a house spec.
Oh, like the medical show.
Yes, the medical show, because I loved House so much.
My mom loved him, the asshole genius star.
Yeah. I loved him too. I might have written some House like fanfics, and I was like, why not just write a spec? Yeah.
That like used to be the so common thing, which is kind of what is like the fan fiction crossover, like where you were writing in the voice of whatever show you like thought you wanted to be on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so after I graduated, I came out here immediately to do like more internship work and more assistant work. And at that time, I thought I wanted to go into comedy because I just really liked The Big Bang Theory.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, it was great. And like Family Guy. So I wrote specs on Big Bang Theory and Family Guy, and I got into the CBS writers program, but I turned in a Big Bang Theory spec and a Bones spec because I also liked Bones. See, I didn't know what to do, and they were like, and then they accepted me. Oh, is that a cat?
Yeah, she's loud.
So they accepted me, and the lady who runs the program was like, well, you literally turned in. Well, okay, what happened was I missed their call, which was like crazy. And then I called back a week later, and they're like, well, do you still want to do it? And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. I really want to do it. And they were like, well, you turn in a comedy and a drama, so
how are we supposed to pigeonhole you into one thing?
Yeah. And so I was like, drama. So no. I said comedy. Okay, I said comedy. But through the program, I realized I wanted to write drama more because the comedy room I felt like might not have been my jam. You have to think really fast on the fly, and I'm more of a, sit back and really noodle on things and and then speak type of person. So
comedy rooms like scare me because
they do.
I can't imagine like thinking you're gonna say a joke that you think is funny and then nobody like.
Yes.
I love the idea of a comedy room, and like I love like writing like kind of like dark comedy, which I think is like my closest thing. But like an actual full on comedy room, I think I would cry because I'd go home and be like, I'm not fucking funny. Nobody laughed at my jokes.
Yes,
it's hard. Yeah.
I agree. That's the thing that scares me too. But also, it's just I don't think I can think of jokes fast enough for the room.
I think
you
that's
gotta be
that
like
people
a riffer.
Don't realize that like those like the way that a room moves is like it was so fast. Like when I got this is my first time like being in a room as a showrunner sister, and I was like, these people's brains are moving 1,000,000 miles per hour, and like they're holding all of the information in there. It's just so intimidating, actually.
But it's okay because not everybody's brain moves that fast. I have to take some time to think about things, and like, and there's some drama rooms I've been in, it's like there are times where you just have to sit back. Everybody's like just like thinking about a story point. Nobody's talking, which is kind of like scarier almost in a way when you're like, interesting.
So what was the first what was the next big check mark after the program you were in? Was there a script that got you a lot of attention, or how did you find reps?
So I found a agent through the program, and he was, he's repped me for comedy, and he was sending me out for like a few staffing meetings. I got a staffing meeting on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is like my crowning achievement. Look, I didn't make it past like the first, but you know what? I was
that's amazing.
Like, I was like, still to this day, I'm like, but I got a meeting.
Yeah.
Like it's one of my favorite shows.
Always Sunny's. That would be probably the most absurd room in the world, I would imagine.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so what happened after that? Well, I started writing just like more specs, or more like more original pilots and more specs. I just wrote, because if you're applying to the programs year after year, I decided to apply to the programs a lot. And the great thing about them is that it gives you a deadline to sort of, write your original material or write your specs. So I did that, and just like, I was like, well, now I want to go into drama because I've been a witness to a comedy room. I'm not sure if that's my jam. So, just wrote...
A witness to a comedy room?
Yes,
you witnessed a murder?
I have witnessed that, and it is not for me.
It was not for me. And then I just, I wrote a lot more specs year after year.
What did your comedy agent think, or this agent that picked you for comedy? Were they like, what are you doing? Or were they like, yeah, like if this is what you're passionate about, let's see these specs?
So I called him and I was like, hey, so I'm transitioning to drama. And he was like, I could hear him glitching out on the phone. And I was like, but here, I wrote a pilot. So I sent him a pilot, and he sent it out, and it started getting some traction, and it started getting me some meetings, or at least generals. And so I think at that point he was like, okay. So it's like she wasn't stepping off a ledge, but I still remember him on the phone, just like silence, like what? Yeah. And so what was the question? Sorry. It's
so
like what, like complete ramble.
No, you're literally, this is like the exact path we go.
Excellent.
So then like that script went out, you got a general. Did you get another like fellowship afterwards, or what was like the next step?
Okay. So one of the greatest things that happened from the CBS mentorship was that I was put in touch with this showrunner who needed an assistant to type for him. Davey Holmes, he's an amazing writer who still works to this day. And so basically what I did was I went to his house, and he dictated. He wanted to be like David Milch and like, dictate. And okay, so the CBS person was like, are you a fast typer? And I lied, and I said yes. I don't know how to touch type. Like I don't know how to type with all 10 fingers. I type with like 3. And
I've never even thought of what I type with.
Not 10? Do you do 10?
Maybe. You know what? This is one of those things like when someone says like say orange and then you like don't know how to say orange anymore. I guess
I feel like I'm at least 8, maybe.
Under 8. I feel like 8. Yeah, I don't know if my thumbs do much.
Yeah.
Okay, but like you were typing.
Yeah, with 2 to 3 fingers, which is how I still type to this day. So then, but we really hit it off, and he was just like, I can't even look at you while you're typing. but like it was the best assistant gig because I learned so much about like how an actual drama writer works, like what his schedule is, how he's planning out his day, how he makes like a beat sheet. Like a lot of the stuff that I learned from him that I just like absorbed through osmosis, I still use to this day. I still, like use he pulls up a little word pad, on his computer, and I do the same thing, like to type out the beats before I write a scene. So, but he was so encouraging and like just such like a generous boss. He would read my stuff, give me notes. He would give me notes like when he was on set, which is I didn't know back then like how stressful that was. And so and like, if I ever needed a rec, he would put in a rec, stuff like that.
I feel like it sounds so obvious that, you would want a boss that's like willing to nurture the thing that you want to do, but it's just really rare because like most assistant jobs in the industry, it's like you have to be so focused on your work that you're barely supposed to even mention, oh yeah, by the way, like I have scripts that I've written and like this is what I really want to do. Like I feel like most people I know that were assistants, it's just usually you're supposed to be careful with like like showing your own passions too much, It's
interesting because now that like I am like, mid-career as a writer, it's like you should know by now that if somebody is an assistant, more often than not, they want to do that job. Like it's, I think it's very rare for people to just be like, I only want to be an assistant. I'm sure there's some out there, but like, it's like,
I think it's like
you should know that.
I've said it before. Like I was going to interview for a different show running assistant position, and everyone's like, she like that person though does not like promote and stuff. So like just a heads up, and I was just like, oh, like not like it's good to know. Kind of crazy to be like, but I think that's sometimes common, like where like producers have assistants and their assistant needs to go fly out and spread their wings, and then they produce something, and then they kind of like have a different view of that person, that they're not just in the assistant role. So I think like that can kind of get, but like I feel like that's how my showrunner is right now, like that you had that like mentor person who's like, what can we do, like what's next for your career, and it's like unfortunately rare.
I think also like, I actually, it was great because I was writing a lot back then, and I just kept on sending him scripts. And so he was like, okay.
Are you a fast writer?
No, I am not. I just spend a lot of time doing it. I'm not a fast writer. I have this bad habit of always going back and reading like what I wrote before and revising and going back.
Yeah.
And what about you guys? Because I am really curious what people's writing processes are.
Oh no, I will read through Act 1 till like the cows come home.
Oh my
and
God,
I'm like,
same.
oh, I'm gonna change this little thing because it's gonna affect this later. And if I do it now, I'll know that I'm gonna. I avoid the last, like if it's an hour long, I'm avoiding the last like 30 pages like no one's business. I am in the first 30 like tinkering around with things. Nick, what about you?
For features, I absolutely, because I feel like I need to know if I'm starting a new day of work, I need to get back in the headspace of like, okay, how is the script progressing?
Yes.
And so, like my first act ends up being revised a million times. I think it was maybe like an episode of Script Notes where somebody suggested writing each act in a different final draft doc so that you literally cannot even look at it. And I was like, that's genius, but I don't have, I have to go, I just need to go check. Like,
I think it's a compulsion. It might be a symptom of anxiety. I don't know.
I think it is.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I think this is like a symptom of something. But you know, I was on a show where I had to write an episode in like 2 days, or 3 days, and it's like at that point it's like, okay, you know what you're doing. You're a producer or a co-producer or whatever, so you've done this before. Just go, just do it.
You've got the outline, right?
Sort of. It was just like, all right. But,
my God.
I don't love that. I don't love doing that.
So what was like, how did you end up getting your first like staffing gig?
Okay. So this story is so interesting. So remember I went to drama, and so my agent submitted me for a show called Hannibal, and I did not. It was for the first season, and they rejected me because they said that my script was too procedural, and they didn't want to do something that was like very procedural. And I got, of course, very butthurt about that. So I didn't watch the show for a year. But then when second season came out, I was like, okay, fine, I'll watch it. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the best thing I've ever seen on television. And so at that point, my friend knew I loved the show, and she texted me one day and she was like, the staff writer on that show, I'm friends with her on Facebook, and she just posted that she is a writer now on another show. Just FYI, there might be a slot open, because back then there were actually seasons, of television. So at that time, it's like, okay, well, they're going into a third season, so there, in theory, is like a staff writer spot open. And so the writer I assisted, Davey Holmes, he worked with Brian Fuller. So I was working with him at that time, and I just was like, hey, like, can you just like reach out to Brian's camp and like see if they're looking for a staff writer? And he literally pulled up his email and wrote to, Brian's development executive. So at that point, I had written a new pilot because my old one was too procedural, and I loved Hannibal. So I wrote this pilot that was like this Twin Peaksy, small town mystery about like past lives. And so, so then they were like, yes, in fact, we are looking for a staff writer. Send over your material. So I did. And then it was like, okay, we had a meeting, and then they hired me that day. So I was super excited.
That's so cool. Was in for that season, was Nick Antosca still on that?
Oh yeah. I worked with Nick. He's so smart. He's killing it. And in the room, I was like, oh my God, this guy thinks differently. Are you friends with Nick Antosca?
I used to work for him. Yeah, when they first started that production company, I worked for him and Alex. Yeah, and it was because like my last year of USC, I was like reaching out to some people, and I just loved Channel Zero, and I just DM'd him, and then we ended up meeting. And yeah, he's like one of the nicest guys in genre, which is saying something, because everybody's really nice in genre.
Exactly. Yeah, it was great working with Nick. I don't know if he was on season 2, but yeah, he was on season 3, definitely. And so that was my experience. That was how I got my first staff job.
And what was like, was there any, like, when you got into that room, was there like any big takeaway where you were like, oh shit, this is like, I am officially in the big leagues? And was it also very hierarchical? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, where it's like there are like the people who talk because they are like the producer level and them down?
I don't know if there was like an exact like conversation about hierarchy, but by that point, because the show was in its 3rd season, we all knew that like, Brian was the brains of the show. He's a visionary. I'm so excited to watch Dust Bunny, by the way.
I just saw it. It's really good.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to watch it. But he's like a visionary, and so like we knew as writers that we weren't going to like try to overcrowd his vision. I think they hired people who like, we all respected his vision and we all trusted his vision of what the show was. And so, our job was just to, at least that's how I thought of it. It was like, my job was just to give him material for him to play around with, you know. So I guess I was, now looking back, like quite green. You know, I was thrown into this like crazy show that was very, very elevated, and that was like, they purposely were saying like, oh, you know, we're, you know, purposefully pretentious, you know, like, and so yeah, there was a lot that I didn't know, just a lot of references, and just, but I'm so glad that was my first show, because it was like, you know, I remember in the room we were just like, didn't want to just do shoe leather stories, you know, like, oh, now they find the MacGuffin that leads to another part, and then another MacGuffin. You know, Brian would always be like, no cops, no cops. And then the other showrunner would be like, we're a cop show. We just have to have one cop beat, like one cop beat. Like, so that was really good, because it trained my mind to like, let's not just go for like the first idea that works. Let's go for like the idea that is the best, you know, for this story, and the most elegant. Cause I remember that he just, you know, was allergic to just like, you know, shoe leather storytelling.
Okay, can you explain? Because these are two terms that actually came up a lot in the room. Shoe leather and MacGuffin. And I remember the MacGuffin, I was like, in theory, I know what these people are saying. I was like, but I'm about to Google this because I want to make sure that I'm understanding them.
So a MacGuffin is just a term that represents like the item that leads to like the next spot. Like, you know, if it's a mystery and it's like, oh, well, they're looking for, you know, the item, you know, the hidden key, the hidden flash drive, you know, that would be the MacGuffin.
Like the physical plot device object.
Yes. Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, it really doesn't matter, like, what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like there were a lot of conversations about like USBs, flash drives, paper copies, and it was like, but wait a second, they're like, are we just MacGuffin? And I was like, what are they trying to say when they're talking about the MacGuffin? And I was just silently Googling and like, I understand. And then what about the shoe leather?
So the way I use it is just like storytelling that is purposely just strung out, just like, you know, they, you know, for example, if you're on a cop show, you know, they find the item, and then it leads them to another person who's like, oh, I haven't seen this item, and then leads them to another person. You know, it's just like kind of everything's just kind of strung out, but with no really purpose, or like it doesn't further character development. And I think the best ways, you know, especially on a procedural for that type of story to be you know, be good is like if it kind of forwards character along. If, you know, if it means something, because there's, of course, a way to tell, you know, like a mystery story or a procedural, you know, cop story that has these beats in them, but they, you know, they're
mean
written
something
in a way that is not just like, okay, and then you go from point A to point B to point C, you know. So
that show, I mean, that's a crazy show to be your first show, because I feel like now, I mean, I honestly watched it later, and I know that nowadays it has like this total, I mean, people respect it so much for kind of slipping in a lot of crazy stuff, given that it was a network show, but also that it's just like one of the best horror TV shows, because horror is like really hard to do in TV. So I want to ask you that about Derry, but and so when you came out of that room, because I feel like there are certain shows like Twin Peaks or Lost, and it's like the room, if you worked in that room, it's kind of this like, this, oh, you were a part of this special group of people that created this special show. So coming out of that, like, was that something that happened later with Hannibal, or when you were straight out of that room, were people kind of like, oh, wow, you were in the Hannibal room?
I think, you know, Brian did a great job at keeping us all sort of like cohesive. Like when the show was airing, he would have viewings at his house every week, and he would invite all the writers. Like every week he would do that, and it was so awesome. And when my episode was airing, it was like the first episode of TV I've ever written. And he basically was like, all right, well, I'm going to get you ice cream. Like, and so we had a
Aw.
little viewing party at his place. So that was really nice. It contributed to the cohesion. Um, I, yeah, I guess like, I stayed in touch with so many of the writers, Nick and Tosca, of course. And I'm friends to this day with like, the support staff and like, and the development executive who like hired me. And so it's like, I still, am in touch with some of the people from that room because of the fact that, I think Brian did a great job at just making sure that we all felt, together. I remember he would also do like he bought us all tickets to see Mad Max Fury Road, which was amazing. I was like, oh my God, this is the best movie of all time. So so like little activities like that.
And do you feel like going out onto the town after that, were people like, ooh, you're like, we know
The
that you're
horror
good
person now?
Yeah, like you're going to be the specialty person in this room and like you don't even have to take the staffing meeting, or were you still like grinding?
Oh, I was grinding, of course. Oh my gosh. Of course. So the next show that I was doing that I did was not horror. It was Hawaii Five-0. So it was just like pure like 25 episode procedural, which is so different because you had to just go. Like they couldn't give out scripts fast enough. Everybody got a script.
Just the phrase 25 episode, like it made my brain do a double take for a second.
Yes.
I was like, wait.
That was a thing?
Yes. The residuals are great. I wrote 3 episodes. It's so great.
Oh my God. Yeah. What did you feel like was it just the pacing of that room that was just so much different?
So yes. So it was so Hannibal was serialized by the 3rd season. And Hawaii Five-0 is highly episodic. So it's like every episode is sort of like a standalone. And so we still broke all the episodes in the room, but a lot of times it was you had to you could pitch like, your own idea of like, hey, what if this episode is about this topic? I wrote one about the leprosy colony that was in Hawaii at that time. So it's like coming in with that idea, and then it's like, okay. And so you did do a lot of, your own work, your own breaking, and then like pitching to the showrunner or like, small group work.
Interesting.
And a lot of times it's like, okay, well, you're working on this, and then they're working on this other episode. But there are like serialized elements to it. It's just not as intensive as a show that is just completely serialized. So yeah, so the pace was faster for sure, and you're just like kind of all right, going. So 25 episodes, yeah.
Crazy. But when you first came out, were you meeting on a lot of other horror stuff? Because in the way that before your reps were kind of pushing you to either to pick a lane, same with the writers thing that you were in. So was it like you are now this specific person who works in this type of thing and now you're meeting on those projects? Or
I don't no, I wasn't. I was meeting on more, I guess, okay, well, here's the thing. The agent that I had at the time, I love my agents now. The agents that I had at the time, he did get Me Too'd, and I think he was dealing a bit with that stuff at that time. So I wasn't really getting sent out very much, actually. Yeah.
And were you making connections at places to get like kind of, you did that with your first job, like you had a connection to a connection, and then that person, like was it a lot of that at that time?
Okay, so back then you could still just get blind sent to places and have them read you, and if they liked what they read, they would meet with you. I know now it's like, much more reliant on personal connections. So that kind of sucks, because I really like the idea of just like sending out a script and just being like, yeah, if this script is great, you get a meeting, So that happened a lot back then. After Hawaii Five-0, I changed reps because of the aforementioned issue. And then that was when I got a lot of meetings. Like was after Hawaii Five-0, because I was like, why am I not getting, you know, that many meetings after coming off of these two like pretty good shows?
Yeah.
And switched reps, and then I got a lot of meetings that year. I think I got 10 meetings that staffing season. It was the most I've ever gotten, and now I don't think this ever happens again. It's kind of a bummer.
That's crazy. Yeah. And so then what, like, when did you finally get to like up your, because in a room it's like climbing a ladder in a corporate setting. There are like levels to it. When did you start to climb up the ladder for like in your writing career at TV?
I think it was, I feel like it was when I was on, 13 Reasons Why, because I met on multiple shows, and I got an offer for 2 of them, and I decided to go with 13 Reasons Why because I really loved, the fact that it was more, back then, this type of streaming storytelling, there still wasn't that much of that, and I wanted to be in that world, and in the Netflix camp, so I decided to go with that show. And so after that, that was kind of like a I guess I would say like a next step up. Yeah.
And do you feel like, one, I loved that show.
Another iconic show,
another iconic
show.
Do you feel like by taking that Netflix route, were you like, oh, the streaming world has taken over now? When you left that room, are you like, I'm going to so many more streamer meetings?
It was more like I'm going to so many more streamer meetings, and like, because after that I then went on like Rings of Power, which is crazy because it's like so different. But just, I think that just having that under my belt opened up a bigger world, because it's like it also opened up more for like, YA storytelling. Even though I do not consider 13 Reasons Why a YA show.
No, I would not tell like my anyone under like 16 and maybe 18 to be watching that show. Like no, but yes, like the characters are.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Almost kind of feels like Derry. I am watching that show, and I'm like, I'm not letting my 10-year-old
pretty
niece
shocking
anywhere near this thing with a 10-foot pole. She would have nightmares for days. I think like it's a show for me. But it's like children. Yesterday I was watching them, and I'm like, I'm watching a children's show, but like I'm not.
Exactly. It's like
was that like kind of what like a bonus for you to be like, I have written like young adult characters before?
Absolutely. I feel like it's so interesting now looking back. It's like, oh, I've done a lot of genres, and I do love that because after a while, for these meetings, I'm like, well, I started out in horror, and so what I can bring to you is like that horror perspective. Even shows like, Rings of Power, which is not a horror show. There are horror elements to it because Tolkien is dark in a lot of areas. Like during the staffing meeting, I was like, well, first of all, I was like, what did you read of mine? Because I don't have a fantasy. And then I was like, well, I would bring this horror angle to it and write about darkness and like psychological, manipulation stuff.
When did you start to feel, as you're kind of bouncing, we're mentioning all these shows that kind of, we're going through like television history here.
Yeah.
But when did you start to feel any type of shift that the industry was going through? Like, was it, like, especially in television?
Oh my God. Great question. I think it was probably when I was on Rings of Power.
And what years was that? Like, what years were you in the room?
That the first season, well, because I came in halfway through the first season, so I believe it was like 2019. Oh my God, that's so long ago. It still feels really recent in my mind. 2019. And I just, the fact that there was just so, like, we were working on a show that was so high budget, like that just felt so alien to me. Because previously, Hannibal budget very low, doesn't look like it. Hawaii Five-0, it felt very television, and this one felt very, very cinematic. And like, it was also just, the structure, the timing of the room. It wasn't like every season you make, you're in the room for a season, you make your show, and then the next year at the exact same time, you
go back
in July,
to the same room.
You're back.
Yeah.
And this one was like, it might be like more than a year between the room because of production. And then like, it was strange because like, I was on Rings, and then I was on another show, and then I was on Rings, and I was on another show, and then I was on Rings again. So it's like, it's very
freelancery. Like you are job hopping, where it used to more be like the year of a career, I guess, is what you were like working on.
Yeah, I've had just, I guess, really interesting career to date, and that I know a lot of people, they stay with the show for years and years, because I have a good friend who was like, in American Horror Stories, and she started out as like a PA, and she ended up like, like a co-EP or EP or something, which is amazing, right? And I just had the complete opposite experience as her, where I just go from show to show to show, because shows get canceled
I think that's like that's like, I think what people are a little bit frustrated with the industry right now, but I also think it's kind of the fun opportunity, because like, would you ever be able to write all these different genre type shows if like you had stuck with the one that just like kept going?
Yeah, it's certainly, it is what I love about it is the opportunity to just work on all of these great, amazing like shows, especially ones based on like books that I really love or movies that I really love. But the downside to it definitely is like, you don't make the types sometimes. Like set experience is one of the things that is like plaguing a lot of writers now, the inability to send writers to set. But during the 2023 strike, we've the WGA has kind of like put in more provisions to send more writers to set to produce. So yeah, that's one of the things that is like one of, I guess, the downsides of these types of just job hopping from streaming show to streaming show, and also especially if you are support staff, one of the things that is really necessary is like forming these connections with writers who can then lift you up, and it's really hard if you're just on a show for like 10 weeks, 20 weeks, and then you just leave. So that is one of the challenges.
What about like before and then leading up to the strike, during the strike, and post-strike? What is the general, what are the conversations you're having with your friends and colleagues who work in TV, and like how are people feeling? Because I know mostly film people.
Okay, so on the television side, definitely, we were talking just a lot about the proliferation of like free work, but probably more on the feature side, because just like pitching, endless development meetings, free writing. Another thing we were talking about is like a lot of these studios shortening the room time, and then and then wrapping the room, and then having you write after the room wraps. So they're saving a lot of money, and it's essentially more, it was moving towards more of like a freelance type of route, which, did not love. And then another thing that me and my friends were talking about was just like, how are we going to get production experience if the room wraps and then we don't know when production is starting? Are you going to stick around for the possibility of being sent to set? Or like, for me, it's like, no, I'm going to look for another job, like another writing job. So those were some of the things that we were talking about.
What are examples of free writing in TV that you might encounter? Because I feel like for feature, other than writing like a feature spec, I guess the most common free writing that we do is like we have this movie and a dozen people are pitching on it. And so each person has to develop a full pitch, which is sort of like a very long treatment, basically.
Yep.
But what are some of the common like free writing pitfalls in the television world?
Well, it's for me, it's like essentially kind of similar things. It's like, a lot of times production companies, they want you to read a book or like watch a movie and then come up with like a potential take for it. So then you can take it out to pitch. And if done right, it's great, because they have in the best case scenario of this, they're not going out to that many writers. They have a plan of what they want to do with the project. And so you're like, all right, well, I'm going to pitch on this. They're not giving you endless notes. And so you're like, all right, I'm going to throw my hat into the ring, and whatever happens, happens. In the worst case scenario, they're just seeking out writers, going to, 5 writers. Oh, let's go for 5 more. And then just like wasting everybody's time.
And are you still writing like a lot of your own original work? Are you focused on being like, I want to keep rising into the ranks of like these other rooms? Or are you still doing both, basically?
I am, like, in recent years, I'm like, I really want to make more of a headway in features. Yeah, I love movies. I love horror movies. It's just, and so this year I wrote an original feature. It is like kind of like a poppy Gen Z type thriller that I just sent to our agent, Nick. So he's listening. What do you think? So I'm doing that, and also, like doing more development in television. So I'm doing more development stuff, especially because like the Avatar writers room wrapped late last year or late this year or something like that. So it's been a
And so what does that development like look like for you?
So I think on the feature side, I was just like, I've worked on so many shows that, when you're working on a show, you're writing to the showrunner's voice or to just the voice of the show. And so I was like, I just want to write something that's completely my own stuff, and just kind of like, a little, my idea's a little batshit crazy. Yeah. So yeah, and just like going with that. But otherwise, like in development, I've sought out books that I've wanted to adapt. And I've like, had my reps like reach out to the authors, and a lot of times that works.
That's amazing. And so are you getting like an option for the book from those authors and being like, I just want to like work on this and see what I can come up with, or what's like the process there?
So I've done this like several times where there's this book that I just really love, and so then I just like reach out to my manager, and so they would find out like where the rights are being held. Sometimes the rights are held with the author, sometimes it's with a studio, or and then I would just have like a pitch that I'd want to do, and if nothing's happening with it, and they're like, yeah, like let's hear it out. So that's really
amazing.
Cool.
Do you bring ideas to your manager and say, hey, which of these should I write or develop? Or do you kind of just do like, you write what you want to write?
I currently am like, let's do something that, can be sold. So I definitely have, I bring like a few ideas that I love. It's like, all right, well, which one should I do first? So I do have that conversation. What about you? Like, what do you guys do? Do you just write?
Like my goal and my dream was always that I could write whatever I wanted, and my reps would just instantly be happy with it and send it out. But I do feel like, other than just the practical element of like, it is good to have someone thinking with the business brain of like, this could sell, or this, is going to be hard right now. But I also think there's like a psychological thing where if people are just included, and they're allowed to give their notes and perspective, like they're gonna feel way more invested and push it harder,
I agree. I agree. It's all ideas. Like I never come up with ideas just for the purpose of like, oh, is this going to be the most sellable? It's more like, you know, I have these like, you know, maybe like 3 ideas that I love, but which one, you know, strategically speaking, should I be working on?
Yeah. And I don't have managers anymore, but my boyfriend being a manager, I feel very, very lucky that I can be like, this is what I'm thinking. And he's a harsh critic. So I can see on his face very quickly if he is into something or if he's like, no, absolutely not. I don't know where you're going with that one. He also has helped me know that I'm not a great pitcher. Like I'll say something, and I'm like, isn't this a cool idea? And he's like, I don't get it. And then I'll send him an article like 3 weeks later where I'm like, this is what I was talking about. Like this is of the moment. Like right now. And he's like, this is so interesting. Like I'm going to bring this up in my staff meeting. And I'm like, no, I told you that this was the thing I wanted to do. He's like, you didn't say it like this. And I'm like, okay. Well, I will be working on that.
Yeah. We both have partners who are basically like our first readers, and they're both very harsh.
Yeah. Yes.
That's amazing. Wait, is it amazing?
You know what? It is if you're like the right temperament. Because like some days I'm into the feedback, and I'm like, oh, I love this. And some days I'm like, can you just be gentle and nice with me?
Yeah. Here. I have a totally random TV question. This might be a dumb question, but I'm just curious about something because somebody reached out to me recently and they were like, hey, have you seen this person's account on social media? They are like a screenwriter person who also like teaches you or has a course on how to like sell shows and how to pitch and all this stuff. And somebody had pinged me and said, you know, is this person legit? Like, it feels like they constantly make videos saying, oh, I sold another show. So what's up with that? And so I never, you know, I'm kind of like I used to kind of be like the investigator debunker.
Yeah. He was. Oh my God. He would debunk people being like, yeah, I sold something to A24 and they didn't. Like that was like his.
There was this famous girl who said she was making an A24 movie and I debunked it and it got many million views.
Oh my God. Can you send that to me? I want to see
I'll send it to you.
Also, oh my gosh. So the person that you mentioned that like was selling a show every other day, did they was that true?
Okay, so this is what I was going to ask because this is a terminology thing, and I also just saw this on Reddit where there was a post where someone's like, I sold the show. So in features, you typically, if a studio is going to buy the script, the writer is going to get paid for the script from the studio. If you're gonna write something on assignment for them, or if they're gonna buy your script. So in TV, there's this extra step, right? Like you have to basically get the studio on board. Then you do the deal that says, if we sell the show to a network, you get paid this amount of money. Now, so that's what this person was talking about. But I have also encountered like even some legitimate TV writers who use this term once they get to that step with the studio and the deal is done that says, I'm going to get paid this much money when we sell this. So I guess my question is like, in the TV landscape, is that terminology that's used when you get to that step? Or is that kind of like terminology people are using to, I don't know, not
are
like
you
further...
saying like, are you saying like, are they jumping the gun? Or jumping the gun?
Yes, like if you get an IFCOM deal and you now have like a studio on board and you guys are going to go pitch something to a network and the IFCOM deal is done, but you haven't gotten paid because you haven't sold it to a network yet. Yeah, have you sold the show? Because I hear people using it like that a lot.
But they got an IFCOM deal.
So this is such a great question. Personally, I would not say that it is just because, but then again, I also don't think you sold a show. You did sell a show because it's like anything can happen. It can all die the next day. Like the show is not sold until literally they're lighting the set. Like, I think that's an interesting question, truly. Like,
because it's kind
never
of like,
thought about it. Yeah.
I think at the beginning, like when I'm being like a little emerging baby writer, like I kind of think like I would tell my friends, I'm like, I sold it to somebody, but like I can't say anything out loud because until it's greenlit to a room, which is then not even greenlit to a production, it's not real. But like, yes, you kind of sold it. but then you have to resell it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm personally pretty like conservative on saying stuff like that. Well, I just sold a pilot to a major streamer, so I'm really excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So what does that mean is the next step for you?
So I guess
is that the first original pilot that you've sold?
It's based on a book series that I love.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
And it's no, because in the past I've had like the IFCOM deals. Like I had a place pay me for like an adaptation of something, but you know, I was paid for the format and we were gonna take it out to a network, but it all fell apart because of one of the people, again, Me Too'd, like most of my career. It's just like,
jeez.
I know. But this one was it was actually directly. I just pitched. I didn't have a studio. It was directly to the streamer.
Wow.
So then are they going to find you a production? You didn't have a production. You were just like, I'm walking in. Well, yeah. So then, do they open up a room for you? Is that the next step?
The next step would be, the deal literally just closed. So it would be, you know, a kickoff call, and then it would be for me to write the pilot. So that's why I hesitate to say like sold a show, because, you know, it's like, there's so many steps along the way to that like, who knows what will happen. You know,
that's like the crazy thing. Like when my friends like ask me about like working on things, and I'm like, well, like I am, but you might never see it and it might never happen, but it did exist at a point, and it really, like, you made money, like that's gonna help your career a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything is like a notch in your belt, but like then you're like, who knows if it comes to production? Like there's just so many things in the way. Me Too people get in the way.
I know. It's a lot of my career's stumbling blocks have been that.
That is horrible.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We got to keep going despite it, right?
Yes.
I know we're coming up on our time here, but before we ask our last question, I just wanted to touch on I'm curious about the ethical taxidermy thing. What makes a certain type of taxidermy ethical? And because I was just talking to somebody about this. There's a creator that I love on TikTok. Their name is Boring Blue Boy, and it's like a lot of like horror and genre and stuff. But they made this video where it was like a company that will taxidermy your pet, and it was really emotional, and it was like a very long video, and they show like the package, and they had like the heart mummified, and it was separate, and it was kind of sad but beautiful. But what makes a certain type of taxidermy like ethical? Is that a thing now?
Well, okay, so I was like, let me just take some taxidermy classes, you know, a couple of years ago. And there's this woman.
As one does.
And it's just like literally one class in LA, but it's run by this woman named Alice Markham at Prey Taxidermy. And she's like one of the best in the world. Like she literally won the taxidermy championships. And she basically, all of her specimens are from, you know, natural deaths or like accidents, or from or if they're abatement animals. So like the first taxidermy I did was a starling, and that was like a nuisance animal that I named it Clarice because it's Clarice Starling. But yeah, that was like an abatement animal that was like you know, the farmers somewhere in the Midwest.
Was this for research for a show, or you just like had an interest?
I was going to say, this is a show in and of itself.
Well, I was like, I have to do other things other than writing.
Like, I just don't even know how you jumped to being like, I picked up knitting this year.
I also do other crafts. Like I make jewelry too. But I don't know. I was like, I got to do something else other than writing, you know, because you got to, you know, do other stuff in your life.
I mean, I will say, now we're all talking about it. Like, no one really wants to talk about my knitting, but taxidermy is a really interesting. Like, yes. Wait, I had one more question, though, before our last question.
Yeah.
I am just wondering, in the Derry room, you guys have so much IP Like even the prison is Shawshank, like in the show, you know? And I'm like, that is the world.
Right.
Were you guys just allowed to go bonkers and be like, what are you pulling from here? And it's like, what can we use from anything Stephen King?
From what I remember, because it was a couple years ago, it did feel quite freeing. It was you know, we were able to do that, and especially like that because, you know, in the book, the time period that we were writing about, it wasn't as like fully prescribed as you know, the modern day storylines for the stories were. So a large part of it was like, you know, like just highly summarized in the book, or like, you know, this might have happened. So then you know, there's a lot of flexibility in that. So
I love a period piece, Glass. It's just like my favorite. Oh,
it's so different from the Rings of Power room, because those like that had to be really, you know, we couldn't just be like, well, what if we kill this character? And it's like, no, it's not part of the legendarium of that, you know, of that happening.
That you're like working off of. Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And in this show,
so
it's like
fun.
The first episode. It's like, how can we kill people in the most surprising ways possible?
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
When I read the pilot, I was like, oh, I love it. I want to do this room. Yeah.
Oh my God. Period piece horror. It has everything. God.
This is going to air exactly in line with the finale episode, right? So by the time people are listening to this, it'll either be the week before the finale, or the finale will just air. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We do one last question.
Of course.
And it's a tricky one. It's not that tricky.
We used to tell people this at the beginning, but then we found that they were thinking about it the whole interview.
Mm-hmm.
So we just wait now. But it is basically, you just have to pick one. But what is an experience you've had in this industry that you could call a high, a low, or just like a hell no? Like, I feel like you saying the Me Too thing is like, don't work with men. Is a hell no.
I would say that like, let's see. A high in this industry. Oh my gosh, I've been so fortunate. There's a lot of highs in this industry. I consider like getting to work on Hannibal is like a high, like that I got staffed for the first time on like my favorite show on television. Like I don't know how much like more I could want at that time. Selling this show pilot. Did I sell it? I don't even know. No. That's definitely a high. So I'm really happy. A low in this industry. I mean, yeah, definitely when I was working on an adaptation of this book trilogy that I just loved to, you know, the depths of my soul. It was literally one of my favorite books. And then the other person, you know, got Me Too.
Did what they
did. Articles were coming out. When I saw their name trending, I was like, this is why I've been ghosted for 2 weeks. And then that was definitely like the abyss. And hell no. What do you mean by that? Like
just something that you would give a lesson to be like, you don't need to do that. Like, you don't need to like, a lot of people are like, don't work with assholes. Like, I mean, that's like a great, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Such a great question. Okay. I would say like not putting your entire self-worth and your entire like, you know, happiness into this industry, into this job.
Yeah.
Because like as a writer, like you're so much more than just the scripts that you write. I know sometimes it feels like this is the be all end all and like everything in this world, but you know, it's not. And like you can still be a writer if you're not like, you know, writing specifically for television or features or whatever, and you got to have an identity outside of that. Like I'm like, that's something I'm still like, you know, working on to this day.
You got into taxidermy for it.
Yes.
Like you were like, I am not just a writer, I'm going to be a taxidermist.
I'm such a mediocre taxidermist. Like truly.
I mean, the fact that you said there was a championship is like kind of boggling my mind. I need to go look it up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Alice Markham, she's so good. Her works are so good. There's such expressiveness in the animal features.
She helped me with
Rufus.
Oh wait. Oh, I can't. We're on the. Dang it. We're on the 3 screens, and so we can't see this Rufus. But thank you, thank you so much. I know you probably have to get to the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing this.
Oh my gosh,
you.
thank you so much